Welcome to the Canadian Shield. My name is Sterling. I'm your host. Jordan Peterson had the Alberta Premier Danielle Smith on his program the other day, and they were talking about many subjects, as often they do on that show. However, he asked Danielle Smith a very specific and concise question. And I say specific and concise, but truth be told, the question was probably framed over the course of about 3 minutes. So I didn't leave the question inside of the clip that I'm about to show you, but I did frame most of the answer. I cut out perhaps 60 seconds. And so I want you to hear not only the in-depth answer, but I would like you to hear the sort of well thought out and practical approach that Danielle Smith is taking to the environment and to the Liberal target on all things environmental and all things food. The way that she puts the answer is very positive and uplifting. I find that it's not an attack, it's not a hack and slash, there's no vitriol. It's simply, this is our position, and we feel that our position is better. So before we get into it, I would encourage you all to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this channel with all of your socials. As you're well aware, Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party turns down channels like mine in the algorithm. So any assistance that you're willing to give me, I appreciate. I have an open GoFundMe so that I can upgrade my equipment. My camera, it really needs it. And as always, I have memberships for those of you that wish to participate in the channel further. Okay, so like I said, Jordan Peterson was asking a question, and it was about how come the petroleum's industry doesn't take a more aggressive tact toward the assault by the liberal and the far left extremists. Why do they say, okay, well, we will try to meet your carbon goals, instead of saying, look, we are doing a lot of positive things with our stuff and you are being over zealous, and we feel the petroleum industry feels that we have a firm handle on this. Now, Danielle Smith's answer was very eye-opening, very articulate. So I'll let you hear what I edited. It's most of it. Like I say, I cut out a few ums and ahs and stuff of that nature. And then I'll give you my 2 cents worth.
Maybe they became enticed by the notion that they could figure this out. And as a result, they began going down a pathway of saying, yeah, these are the kind of things we can do. This is the kind of progress that we're making. Not really realizing that as they began to make progress, the goalposts would continue to be moved. They've figured out how to capture CO2 and bury it underground. And the reason why they did that in our province was for very good reasons. Once you capture the CO2 and you put it in reservoirs that have been depressurized, you can actually repressurize and you can develop more oil. So there's a very practical reason why we developed this expertise. If we become the best barrel in the market, which is what everyone says they want, the greenest barrel of the market, we should be able to get a premium for that. If we can develop the technology to capture CO2 and put it to useful purpose, then that should be ultimately able to develop a revenue stream. And those are good reasons, actually, to engage in free enterprise. And I would tell you that that's the history of our energy sector, is that we take a product that we need. It was initially kerosene, and there was a whole bunch of sludge left over. And then somebody said, gee, I wonder what I could do with that sludge. And out of that, developed petrochemicals and lubricants and asphalt and all kinds of other useful products. We now get 6,000 barrels or 6,000 products out of a barrel of oil. I think the industry looked at the CO2 challenge as just the next waste stream that we've got to try to find something useful for us to do with it. And so if it's framed that way, that's why I've been very supportive of the industry and going down this pathway. In fact, part of the reason why we're able to feed so many people on the planet is something very similar. It was a chemistry breakthrough of Haber-Bosch, where they figured out how to capture nitrogen from the air and turn it into fertilizer. And I read an article about how the way in which tyrannical governments exercise control over their populace is they control energy and they control food. It's that dual. If you keep people impoverished and hungry, and you keep them unable to be able to heat their homes or cook their food, that is a way in which if you're bent towards trying to control your population as opposed to seeing human flourishment, those are the two mechanisms that you use. And so I've been Having read that article probably in the late 1990s, it's been fascinating and shocking and disheartening for me to see that all of the policies being devised by the extreme environmental movement have been to control exactly those two things: make energy more costly and less available, make food more costly and less available.
And it's telling that they would, at the same time as doing all of that, make the population more isolated. I mean, you have to wonder. Of course, Miss Smith didn't say it, but you have to wonder. You and I, you have to wonder what the real drive here is.
I'm a cornucopiaist. I think that's the alternative view, is that the more we unlock human ingenuity, the more we feed people, educate people, give them access to energy, give them access to innovation, the more we will flourish, the more things we will discover. And I think that is just such a more hopeful view of humanity. I don't mind the energy industry still trying to take an aspirational approach to continuing to innovate and finding solutions, because I think we're going to find some really interesting solutions for CO2, since we already have found one that actually makes economic sense. But I think that we have to talk in terms of why we want to continue delivering this product. We have to talk in terms of eliminating global poverty, acknowledging that 3 billion or more people on the planet do not have our same quality of life, are cooking their food with dung and wood and coal, dying of indoor air quality problems. I mean, this is something I've been very interested to see, that Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman Al Saud, who's the energy minister in Saudi Arabia, when he gives presentations, he speaks very much along the same lines I do. Yes, let's reduce emissions, but let's also solve the problem of global poverty. We've got to bring everybody up to our level first. You cannot cut off the avenue for prosperity in these nations prematurely. And I think that is where the conservative messaging should be, is that, yes, let's continue to get better and better at having less impact on the environment, but let's make sure that we're bringing everybody up.
Now, I couldn't agree with the Premier of Alberta greater. You have people in this world who think coal is technological advancement because for their entire lives they've been waiting for cow poop to dry, or sheep poop or whatever to dry, so that they can burn it in their kitchen and cook on it, or warm themselves during the cold seasons. Because not many countries have experienced the winter that the northern top of the planet does, but they get cold seasons. And if they have elevations like in the mountains and stuff, they get cold seasons. And so no matter where you're living, as soon as it becomes cold, you feel like it's cold, which requires you to heat the inside of your house. Now, one of the greatest technological advancements that people don't think about is the chimney flue. How many people in Northern Europe had to pass because of poor air quality before somebody figured out how a chimney can get that stuff out of the tent. Even the First Nations, the teepees, have a hole in the top. The yurts that are built, I mean, there's a hole in the top, but they don't all funnel it out the way that, say, a chimney would. And the point that I'm making there is there are individuals right now who are burning coal and burning wood and burning dung essentially in a tent. There's no flue, there's no forced air that directs it out of their building. So they're cooking it, and they are having their children sitting there, and they're trying to serve their supper while they have it. You want me to believe that that's the best way for humanity to move forward? And when when Premier Smith says that she believes in the innovation, I agree with her. Let's look at all of the times in history when we thought we had an established approach. The royalty was the ones that made all of the decisions. The church was the one that made all of the decisions. Then the United States of America came along and showed the world the middle class. And the middle class came up with ideas. And the middle class was not afraid to speak their mind. And the middle class was given an opportunity to contribute. And as a result, that society flourished in a way that was never heretofore known or aware of in the history of humanity. That was done through the freedom to say what you think, the freedom to explore and to innovate. You can't do that when you have the boot heel of the government on your creative process, on your throat. You can't do that. So really all they're doing when they get hysterical, when they overreact like this, is bring the world back 1,000 years to before the Magna Carta, when humanity wasn't allowed to do anything and kings had absolute authority. That's how it looks to me. That's my opinion on the situation. And I don't agree that we should be worrying about, we should be taking that carbon and giving it to the people up north, for example, right? Because we have a lot of food issues up north, stupid expenses and all the rest of it. But if we dropped in 100 acres of greenhouses, not only could we teach the people up north to be farmers, like to grow in their greenhouses, but we'd give them all the carbon that they need so that they would grow enormous. And that's just one thing off the top of my head, where we're reutilizing the product that they claim to be bad for the environment. I will, however, say that without innovation, the problem isn't to cut us all back. Do you want to be living in downtown Toronto with the person below you having an open fire in their living room, cooking dung? Think about where this ideological environmental movement actually takes us. All right, I'm going to wrap here. I want to thank you all for listening. I'll talk to you next time.